I have ENRs first of all, Senator.
Senator Salama.
Mr. President, I move that the ENR amendments to LB 1053 be adopted.
You've heard the motion to adopt the ENR amendments. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. The ENR amendments are adopted.
Senator Hunt will move to amend AM 3319.
Senator Hunt, you recognized to open on AM 3319.
Thank you, Mr. President. This amendment I intend to withdraw, and this has gotten some attention from Nebraskans who are desperate for the ability to protect themselves and their communities by having a mask mandate. A lot of people don't know that out of 100 largest cities in the country, Omaha is the only one that doesn't have a mask mandate. Besides that, Omaha is now the largest city in the whole country that doesn't have a mask mandate. And it's not because they haven't tried to do it. Dr. Adipur from the Douglas County Health Department wanted to initiate a mask mandate, and then Governor Ricketts said that they would sue Omaha if they tried to go forward with it. And this has created an uproar in my city and in my community, in my district. And it goes back to that local control issue. I introduced this amendment on this bill because this is relevant to nursing homes, because COVID-19 has been devastating to nursing homes. They've really struggled with how to best handle this pandemic for the people who are most vulnerable. Year to date, there have been 261 outbreaks in 196 nursing home facilities. And since we started testing protocol for staff, which happened about a month ago, we've had a significant escalation in cases, which includes 15 new facilities in just the past 2 weeks. In the past 2 weeks, a total of 62 facilities have had new outbreaks. So that means that a lot of facilities are on their second and third outbreaks now. And what we know from public health experts, what we know from experts at UNMC, our pandemic experts, our infectious disease experts, which, colleagues, we know that in Nebraska, we have some of the best in the world here. So why is Omaha still the biggest city in the entire country that doesn't have a mask mandate? And not for lack of trying, but because of the governor putting himself in my city's business for no reason other than to hurt people. These numbers are really staggering that we're seeing in long-term care facilities. And that's part of the reason that I introduced this amendment on this bill. It's not just the long-term care facilities that are crying out for leadership either. We're not seeing leadership at the federal government. They said it's going to be up to the states. If you want to get testing, if you want to get tracing, if you want ventilators, states, you're going to have to get that together. In Maryland, the governor even had to get the tests that they were able to receive from Korea and put them away in like a storage facility so that the president wouldn't come in and have the federal government come in and take those resources. It's been a battle through this whole pandemic. And in Nebraska, I'm afraid that we've given up on that battle. So the federal government says, states, it's up to you. At the state level, we're saying we're trusting the health departments, we're trusting the mayors and the local governments. But when my local government passed a mask ordinance, when my local government wanted to have masks required, the governor said, we'll sue you if you try to do that. The whole country and the whole world is laughing at Nebraska. They are laughing at how we are handling this pandemic. And in the next few weeks, schools and institutions of higher learning across Nebraska are going to be trying to reopen because they have to. Because they have to during a pandemic. And usually at this time, educators are eagerly setting up their spaces, they're putting their bulletin boards together, they're eager for the first week of classes. But this year, that eagerness and excitement has turned into fear. Deep-seated fear, not just for themselves and their colleagues, but for the students and their families, the homes they have to go back to, where their grandparents live with them. We know that we are going to have outbreaks when these kids go back to school. Being an educator is more than a profession, it's a vocation. And I know that Nebraska teachers want to return to their classrooms. They want to see their students, but with cases rising in Nebraska, over the past week, we've had an average of 291 cases per day. an increase of 33% from the average 2 weeks earlier. We really need to slow the state's transmission now, especially if we want Nebraska children to learn safely and remain healthy, and come home and be able to keep their parents and grandparents and their loved ones healthy. All of the brightest minds who are working on this, all of our infectious disease experts, all of the people that Governor Ricketts says that he's trusting and taking cues from, say that the way to do this, the way to stay safe, is to mandate masks in public. And about half of you in here won't even wear a mask when you're in here, out of courtesy for your colleagues either. University of Iowa researchers, you know what they found? Obviously, that the states that had mask mandates saw significant decline in COVID-19 growth after the mandates took effect. Some Nebraska schools are going to require masks in the buildings. However, what happens when all these students go out into the community? They may not want to contract COVID-19 while at school. They might not get sick at school, but then they might go out to the grocery store or a restaurant that doesn't require masks. And that's putting educators at risk too. That's putting kids at risk. Kids are dying of this disease. You want to talk about anti-abortion? You want to talk about pro-life, this and that? The loudest voices in this body about anti-abortion are the ones not wearing masks. And if Nebraskans could see this whole body, they would see that. The lieutenant governor sits up there with his mask under his nose all day, talking about pro-life. Goes for a lot of you. The governor preaches local control, yet he is actively intervening into local politics. He's actively saying that he's going to sue my city if they do what they can to protect their people. According to him and the Attorney General's office, state law trumps city code. And that's what pushed the Douglas County Health Board to reverse their decision for a mandate. Our governor is putting his political agenda in front of the health and safety of Nebraskans, specifically the workers that are serving all of us, that are serving our children. Our teachers are struggling to figure out what to do. They're retiring early because they don't want to go teach in a school that won't keep them safe. And that's not even on the schools. Like, the superintendents are doing everything they can, but without leadership at the top, what are they supposed to do? They're doing the best that they can. But we have to do more for Nebraska, and we have the power to do that in this body. We have to protect our most vulnerable teachers. We have to protect the people in these long-term care facilities. We have to protect kids and students who we know are getting sick and dying of this illness. They are finding fetuses in pregnant women who have COVID-19. They are born with COVID-19. So wear a mask and let local boards of health, city councils, mayors, put that mask mandate in place if that's what's best for their communities, because it is. Nebraskans, I want to say, I introduced this amendment, and I'm going to withdraw it, and I want to tell you why. It's because we don't have the votes for it. And if I don't withdraw this amendment, the way it works in here is it'll be filibustered, and then the underlying bill will die. And the underlying bill is important for long-term care facilities. It's important for the people who are relying on those services, who are already in more danger, who are already more vulnerable than other people in our communities. And I'm not going to jeopardize the good that we can do for them because my colleagues are not valuing the lives of Nebraskans. By following the governor wherever he goes, when he says local control until you try to do something to keep your people safe, and then I'll sue you. It is embarrassing. The whole world is laughing at us, and they should, because we earned it. I'll withdraw my amendment. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thanks, Senator Hunt. The amendment's withdrawn. Mr. Clerk?
I have nothing further on the bill, Mr. President. Go to Senator Howard.
Senator Howard, can you make the motion for us, please?
I move that we advance LB 1053 for ENR engrossing. Thank you.
Members, you heard the motion to advance the bill. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. LB 1053 advances. Proceeding now to LB 1002.
1,000